Glenn Parker, High Vibration Foundation. Thank you very much for joining me. I wanted to share a little personal information on patients and just my overall circumstances and why I am as patient as I am and probably as happy as I am because you just have to laugh at the circumstance or you would be insane. It's kind of one of those things. And you'll have better insight once you actually have the whole story. And you either would have to laugh at it or you would actually go insane. And it really is just that simple. So, on with the show. I have, since 1996, started to have issues with breathing, primarily at altitude. So I used to do a whole bunch of trainings for like Nobel and Microsoft and things like that. I would go to the super labs for Nobel and Microsoft, things like that, and I would train on the latest technology, and I would go and do these high-end seminars and talk about like the latest technology and things like that. And I was also in charge of tech support for like a major distributor, so you'd work all during the week, and then on the weekends you'd fly out. I wasn't really a drinker, I wasn't really a smoker, no drugs or anything like that, so pretty clean living. It goes around 25, 26, and then I noticed I was going to Atlanta one time, and I'm like a heavy chest, I was like, I had to take really deep breaths. I was really sleepy, really drowsy, and then that persisted for a while. So I went to the doctors, and they did, let's just say that they did 1,000,001 studies and pokes and prodding, and they couldn't find anything. No physical abnormalities, nothing wrong with your heart, nothing wrong with your lungs, nothing wrong with pretty much anything. Everything looks good, but out you go. And then after a while, they're like, well, that sounds like anxiety. Here's some Xanax. And yeah, oh, wow, I feel a little better because it slowed my metabolism down. So about 1998, I had really, really hard time breathing. And then even normally like at night and during the course of these, there was a year in between there. And it's really fuzzy at this point, where if I laid down, I had such high blood pressure that I would desaturate oxygen-wise because the blood was just circulating so fast it couldn't oxygenate fast enough. So I'm like, and then the Xanax helped a little bit, and so, go to therapy and go psychologist and all this good stuff because there's something wrong with you. Okay, since there's nothing physical that you can find, let's go to the psychologist and try to see if we can figure that out. So many psychologists, very nice one, for a very long, long time. And then eventually I really couldn't work. I was only working like a little bit. And when I had blood tests done and whatnot, my blood was really weird and thick. And even somebody who used to be like a veteran that was a field veteran in Vietnam couldn't pull proper blood. So all these crazy things were going on, and I ended up being kind of more or less bedridden. I could work from home, I could do these types of things, and still earn like a decent living. But for the doctors and all this, I was eating into all the savings I had ever put away, and all the things I bought, I was starting to sell off. Like I had a DVD library and these types of things, so they all went on eBay. So about 2002, I was diagnosed with other different types of things, and they couldn't figure out what this was or what that was, and I was still having a hard time breathing. I was taking all these medications for blood pressure, and they were just barely touching this stuff to keep the circulation and the heart rate down to a place where I could oxygenate. So, I never have been able to drink coffee or any kind of stimulant or anything like that. So I went to go visit my mom, because I figured it seemed like there wasn't long left at this point in time. So I went to go visit my mom, and she had a cluster of brown recluse spider bites, and that's like one of the most top 10 venomous spiders in the world. And she needed a lot of help, so I put all my stuff away in storage. I got rid of my place, and I was down to that last part of my finances anyway. And then I went out to stay with her in New York. And I helped her kind of, I would do the dishes, and I do the laundry, things that were difficult for her because she was working full-time at a public storage. And you can live on the facility. So pretty nice place, apartment. You know, all your gas is paid, your oil, all your electricity. So basically, you know, watch this place, make sure no shenanigans happens, and you can live here, and just that's part of the perk. It was a pretty good perk, actually. So I lived there, and I really didn't tell. I mean, they could tell I'm taking pills and all this. They could tell that, you know, I'm not well, but you know, I didn't really tell them. The doctor said, well, you know, that's all we can do. This is pretty much, the game is over. So I'm going through this process, and years go by, and you know, I'm just, you can just see, you know, the skin starting to be unhappy, and I really didn't eat bad. I ate a lot of the same things over and over again. Maybe I ate, you know, some sweet things here and there, but you know, I wasn't into candy or anything like that. So finally, I talked to an old client of mine that was a dentist in 2005, and he suggested, like, the end of 2005, the beginning of 2006. And for me to fly at that point in time was a major pain in the ass, because I had to call the pulmonary doctor, and he had to arrange oxygen with the airline. I had to call the airline and all the security, and there's tons of extra costs to get oxygen. You got to make sure you have enough to get from end to end. And you know, the very first one on the plane, though, that is pretty awesome. That was the most awesome part of that process. You know, I'm wheeled on the plane in a wheelchair, but I am the first one before first class or anybody. I'm like the very first one on the plane. Glenn Parker, please come up to that. I'm like, hey. And I was like, at least that's one bonus item. So I take a plane, I set a time, and I go see a naturopath that this dentist that I had as a client from age 16 into my 20s had suggested he could really tell from my conversation that I had had enough. I'm like, I don't want to play anymore. It's like, the only reason I'm sticking around is to take care of mom. So, you know, it's the same thing all the time, and you know, I make like, you know, $4,000 a year, and because, you know, I'm doing all these things for her, and you know, kind of isolated. I sold my car, I sold everything to get the medications and other things that would keep a stable metabolism. So it was out of kindness from friends and other types of things, and selling things that were left behind at public storage. So much abandonment at public storage. I mean, no theft whatsoever. Literally, people would leave a refrigerator, a couch, all that. Hey, it doesn't fit in the van. We got to be in Atlanta in 2 days. Bye. And literally just abandon it. And I don't want it. People would just walk up and say, hey, you know, did you want that couch? And I'm like, sure. And I just put it on eBay and make it disappear. I get $25 for it or whatever. So it was Sanford and Son. That's basically what it was. The Island of Misfit Toys, whatever was left over. So in any case, I digress. But so we're going through this process, and I finally get all my stuff together, and I go out to see the naturopath, and he did a live blood test where he pricked my finger, and he looks at my blood and goes, hey, when you're vitamin E deficient, your blood cells don't have any hemoglobin around them, so they can't carry oxygen. Half of them are deflated. The other half, your immune system isn't moving around. When you do your blood test and they do the blood serum, you have enough white blood cells to show a positive, but they're not doing anything. They're Homer Simpson blood cells, and they're just kind of stoned or drunk, and they're just sitting there. So between his visit from the naturopath and the nutritional types of things that I took away with me, vitamin buffer, vitamin C, and all this stuff, CoQ10, vitamin E, and it was maybe like $700, $800, which compared to a normal doctor visit for me was like, you know, I'm like, yeah, whatever, that's no worries. I had to save and scrimp and get all this stuff, and people helped, and I stayed with friends, and they didn't know what was really going on. They see me taking pills and stuff, but it was like a don't ask, don't tell. Come and stay, hang out, have fun for a couple of weeks, take a kind of a pseudo vacation, and get whatever you need to get done with your doctors and all that type of stuff. So I started feeling better. I'm like, I kind of like this. So I'm doing a little bit more, and I'm doing a little bit more, and I'm following, and I get to a place where it was like 2008, and I'm like, well, late 2007, 2008, I'm like, why am I not getting any better? And he is saying, have you done a coffee enema to do the glutathione acceleration and to do to actually bring up more, bring more toxins out of your body? And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm like, I don't want to put anything anywhere. And he's like, well, that's as far as you're gonna get. He's like, that's the next step. So I tried one, and I'm like, Mikey likes it. I felt so much better, and it was like miraculous overnight glutathione acceleration, and emptying out the bowel and intestine too, and doing a flush. It was all at once. It was like, so I did a ton of those over the years. As a matter of fact, I've done thousands of those over the years, and they were transformative. I have pictures, and I promised myself I never would put this picture up or show it, but this was right before I went to go see the naturopath. It was winter, it was cold, so I have this furry thing going on, but you can see my skin and everything, and this was some years ago compared to now, and you can see my skin now. For the most part, it's pretty happy. I'm gonna put this as the display picture on this. So I'm gonna do that. I know where it is. I'm gonna catch it. I look like crazy axe murderer Galana is what it looks like. So during this process, I wouldn't go to the movies. I had to get the most basic type of food and just cook it all myself. No entertainment. No going out, no doing anything. Other people doing for me over and over and over and donating and taking me here and there and doing these types of things. Patience. And keeping myself alive so that I could actually help my mom. That was really the only reason I kept myself alive. It wasn't like in the top of my mind, well, I can't go kill myself because I'm going to take care of my mom. I never had any suicidal thoughts. But I was hanging on to space and time, keeping my energy anchored here because I had a motivation of why to wake up in the morning is that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do what needs to be done as public storage. I'm going to shovel out 10 units and burn up like 1,500 calories when it's 10 degrees outside. Don't miss that type of thing because she can't do it, and if she can't do it, then you don't get to live in public storage anymore, and all of us have to leave. I was taking care of her and her life partner that has a spinal injury, and I helped them move here, so to Las Vegas from upstate Hudson Valley. So patience, I still live with them, and the last time I tried to get a car because I had made so little over the years, my credit was pretty, wasn't bad, wasn't good. They're like, well, for $1,000 down, for as long as you make this much a year and you can show us. It was only like 18,000 or something. Like, oh, well, I made like 5,000 the last couple of years. Well, if you want to put that on the application, and then we'll just need bank statements. They can just say whatever you want them to say. I'm like, no, I'm not going to falsify bank statements so that I can get a car. It's like I want to have some integrity. I don't want the car to be tainted in everything I do with it. So I could get a car, but I'd have to lie to get it. So patience, there's more patience, because that I feel would be out of integrity, falsifying bank statements basically to be able to get it. And so have enough of a down payment to get a car, but so you either have to get a hoopty at this point in time and not know that you can reliably get from A to B, or you have to wait forever to save. So patience, and that's why, boys and girls, I said patience was the key in the beginning of this. So you wonder why I'm so mellow and I laugh and all as well is because, out of all the things I've been through, and I still live with my mom and her life partner in the house that I helped move them in. And I work a lot more now. I make a very nice per hour. I do coaching and I do retreats and all these types of things. But the scale of the nutrition that I need, patience, I spend to keep a stable metabolism so that my body stays anchored in space and time, for instance, so far, cost like $500 to $700 a month on a low scale. Like a low scale could be like maybe 400, but if that gets too far away, if I don't have a higher end for a longer length of time, then bad things happen. Breathing destabilizes, chronic fatigue. And there's some stuff coming up now because I haven't had the level that I normally would have. So I have to spend let's say $800 to $1,000 a month to keep a pure, stable metabolism now. If I were to work full time, that would actually go up to $1,500 a month because because I would need some crazy immune system builders and all these types of things that would go with it. So literally here I am. I'm in a circumstance where, I work, I make money, and then it's hand to mouth type of thing where it just goes into nutrition. And we create our own realities, and we are immortal beings in a timeless reality, and nothing is by chance. I constructed the situation so that I could actually learn a great lesson, and so far it's working very well. I've accumulated immense amount of patience, and my mom is almost 70 years old, and she requires a lot of patience, and her life partner requires a lot of patience because she has a spinal injury and she takes a lot of medications, these types of ideas. So patience, and you wonder why I'm a happy guy. I wonder why I can get like almost 300 videos done in a year and a half, or a year and a couple months time, because I work from home. I do this in between calls and things like that. So here it is. Patience. Just wanted to share that with you. That is like a summary of my story. I have a lot of detail in between, but here I am. I have a laptop. I have a phone which I use to do the videos. I upload from my phone, that type of idea, and I have some clothes and the rest. The bed, all this. They purchased when they bought the house. So it's a very interesting feeling to be cared for and not to be able to care for yourself, because that is really the circumstances at hand. Is that every time I get a block of cash, it goes to buy the things that keep me alive. Quite literally is what that goes to. And I could show you a pile of stuff that's all nutritional type of base. I don't have to take any medicines. I have to take an aspirin every great once in a while. Even if I have like some coconut oil, my blood pressure freaks out. So I'm very sensitive butterfly. I have to really, really watch. I can't even have like iodine or things like that because it seems to freak out the body. And I require a variety and slew of different things to keep the body effective. And I've had blood tests and I've had x-rays even more recently, and everything is fine. There's nothing that can be quantified in a medical type of basis. Now, there has to be something energetically I haven't let loose of to be able to have all these circumstances. So I'm emotionally going through a lot of emotional things as well, doing a lot of exercise, doing a lot of toning, listening to various types of things. So a lot of emotional release, and I have been feeling a lot better, but when I back off of the nutrition, it still has a destabilized metabolism. So patience, boys and girls, patience. Why is Glenn such a happy guy? Because I realized I did this to myself, and I'm an immortal being, and this is an infinite journey, and this is one aspect of my infinite journey, this unique lifetime, and I put this here to be able to, if I can get around it, and I can, just realize that and move forward in love and in light, that it can transform overnight. So I'm setting the intention for it to transform overnight. Car, Daddy needs a new pair of shoes, quite literally, and some other things. And I haven't taken a vacation in uber amount of years of any sort that would be on my own agenda. That's also on Daddy's list. So thank you very much for joining me. Glenn Parker, High Vibration Foundation, coaching life, business, and spiritual. Also retreats, boys and girls. Don't forget retreats. Now, down below in the description, there's all sorts of stuff, email and links to anything and everything, social media and all the websites and whatnot. And if you do like this video, please do like, subscribe, and share.